Peace and Black Liberation. You are listening to Black Matters with Lami Mumia here on KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, the urban voice of Kansas City, KC's global community radio station. You are listening to us either live on KUAW.org or the TuneIn Radio app. You can also listen to us on Facebook Live and YouTube as well. Just search KUAW. On Facebook, KUAW-LPFM985. If you didn't know, you can go there and listen to all of our programs archived, as well as some of our programs on KUAW.org. And we're building an archive now on YouTube as well. So for those of you who use, like myself, use YouTube Red, you can download the programs and take them with you and listen to them later on whenever you have time to listen to the great programming on this great community radio station here in Kansas City. Today's date, June the 5th, 2018, or so they say. Black facts for today's date, June 5th, 1783, taking it way back. Today on this date, Oliver Cromwell, one of the few black soldiers in the Revolutionary War, receives an honorable discharge and the badge of merit from George Washington. That is very similar to now what we would know as the Medal of Honor, but he receives high marks for fighting in the Revolutionary War. Again, I think it was brought up in a lecture by Amos Wilson. We have fought in every single conflict that the United States has participated in. So this is just more evidence that we were apparently very good at what we did because we were receiving medals from the very beginning. Doris Davis, on this date in 1973, became the first African anti-American woman to govern a metropolitan city. She became the mayor of Compton. Compton, California was run by a black woman for the first time on this day in 73. On this day in 1940, the American Negro Theater was organized by Frederick O'Neill and Abram Hill. And on this date in 1969, there was a so-called race riot, which is more appropriately called a race revolt, occurred in Hartford, Connecticut. Don't hear a lot from Connecticut. It's kind of a small state, one of the smaller New England states, but it does sit there next to New York, and I know a lot of people commute from that area. But we really don't pay attention to the New England, to really how racism evolved in New England. It's also interesting that on this date in 1968, which is 50 years ago, Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated. There's a lot of talk right now on news outlets about his legacy. And it's interesting to me, one of the most focused on events of RFK's career was the night that MLK got killed. They talk about his speech, a famous speech, I'd rather call infamous speech, that occurred in Indiana, which prevented any type of rioting in Indianapolis. Again, any type of, when Martin Luther King died in April, it really kind of flipped things that were already at a boiling point in America. 1968 was, of course, a very important year, unfortunately, because of racism, white supremacy, really kicking it into overdrive to enforce, the violence was being enforced at that time in many places across the country. 67, 68, Martin Luther King dies, and that night, RFK, Robert F. Kennedy, gets on stage and gives a 4-minute speech. Now, I've listened to NPR and I've seen some news outlets online, and they tend to say this is one of his most important moments, that only 2 months later he would be assassinated in California. And I think that's kind of trashy because, if your highlight of your career was the death of a black man and the words that you said that prevented black people from doing what they needed to do and handle their business at the time to avenge and to possibly overthrow the wicked and corrupt government, you, to me, are complicit. You are working with them. You're working with the people who are trying to maintain that oppressive, wicked system. So yeah, that was really all on. A lot of news outlets talking about today being the date that he was assassinated. Frankly, the Kennedy brothers, and they talk about this. This is the interesting thing, and this was even on NPR. The Kennedy brothers, John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy, had to position themselves. They couldn't be too close to black people, which is so ironic that they're seen as beacons of integrationism and civil rights for black people, whatever that phrase means. But they understood that politically they couldn't be hanging out with black people. They understand ain't nobody going to elect no president who just some Catholic boys who want to go hang out with some black dudes. No, they're not having that. Racist man, racist woman, racist child ensured that they stayed in line to some degree. And that's why, they say that it was a missed opportunity. No, to me, that's just Robert F. Kennedy practicing racism. To me, in my opinion, I may be incorrect. So you get no kudos. You get no kudos on this day. And, the only shame is that we couldn't put an end to all of the suffering of black people around the world when he died, but it didn't happen. So that is my 2 cents on. All right. Did you hear anything about that, Chris? Peace, brother. How you doing?
I'm off, man.
Mr. Walker. The mic. Is his mic on? Yeah, mic.
Microphone check. Microphone check.
He's on. He's on.
We good, man. Yeah. No, I didn't, brother. Peace, brother. How you doing?
I'm good.
Doing well, bro. No, I hadn't, man. I hadn't followed up on that, to be honest with you.
Yes, it's honestly, it's not even a note.
It's not even worth following.
It's not even worth following. You are completely in the green for not even hearing about that.
Yeah.
On this day in 1945, John Carlos was born. A lot of everybody remembers John Carlos. He was a track star before he was remembered for his very famous Black Fist salute at the 1968 Mexico City Games.
Right.
It was John Carlos, and who was the other brother who was with him?
I can't think of his name.
Oh man, I can't either. I gotta remember this. Yeah, so that was very, and I'll just say a little side note on this on the story. I don't remember the brother's name, but I do know that this was really beautiful to me. That it was John Carlos, another brother. I want to say something Thompson Peter or something, and there was a white boy, Australian white boy who was also on the platform. He was third place, and the two American black anti-American the black African men who were standing on the podium in first and second place, John Carlos and the other brother, they only had a pair of gloves. So they had a left hand and a right hand. And so while you traditionally Black Power salute with the right fist, they only had a single pair of gloves. And they wanted to make this impromptu. They didn't really plan this exactly, but they got the world's attention. So actually they had to share a pair of gloves, so one person had to put up the left fist. That's why when you look at the picture, you see one with a left fist and one with a right fist. I thought that was a very beautiful expression that these two at that time, young black men, decided to show their opposition to the white world terrorism, which was taking place and continues today. And they did that in the way that they felt necessary, and it got them a lot of attention. It also caught them a lot of hell. And it's very well, there's several documentaries, but they caught hell and they're still catching hell today. I believe one of their wives ended up divorcing them, and they all traced this back to the hell they were catching from the protests in 68.
Yeah, Tommy Smith was a brother.
Tommy Smith. There we go. Tommy Smith and John. And it's funny, even the white boy who was next to him,
Yeah.
the Australian,
Yeah.
because he was in solidarity with them,
He caught it.
he caught hell too. I was like, he caught hell. He caught hell.
Yeah.
You can look this up. This is not they interviewed him.
Man.
He didn't raise a fist.
No.
Okay,
Right.
he did not raise a fist,
Right.
but he was in solidarity with them, and it was known that he thought that their protest was correct. That Australian white boy caught hell all the way back to the island and continued for the rest of his life.
You know what? That's funny, man, because you bring that up, and now we got, Donald Trump talking about the NFL players taking a knee, and basically, in fact, basically what he did was uninvite them to the White House, where they said they weren't going anyway, but uninvite the football team that won, the Eagles, that won, uninvite them to the White House. They said, listen, they're going to make this announcement. If the players, either you stay in the locker room or you stand up during the game, there's no negotiation. And now he's like, well, you know what? Don't even stand in the locker room. Just come out and stand. I'm like, But that's interesting, man, because that can go a lot of ways. Like I was talking to my son about the other day. I was like, I said, how far does that go? Because the national anthem, they make everybody stand up. They, please stand for the national anthem. Does security come through there and make you stand? I mean, do they kick y'all? I mean, that's a long, that's a long deal, and they're taking it out of context, brother. But back to
no, I think that is completely
Carlos,
completely in context to what we're talking about here, because the same, I'm gonna protest you by just raising my hand. I'm not shooting a gun.
Well,
I'm not beating a little child over the head.
Yeah.
I'm not doing. Hey, I would just raise my. Now
Yeah,
you said that, and the reason why to me it's so linked is because none of the Eagles players took a knee. I believe Marcus Jenkins, one of the players, I think he might be a safety. I'm very ignorant to the different players, but he raised his fist half of the season, not even the whole season. So he raised his fist for a few games, and the whole team is now being branded a whole bunch of and I shouldn't use that word branded, because that's a little too.
They just being slandered.
They're being slandered as rebellious Negroes on the plantation. And I think for Black people, we need to think about it this way. These guys are multi-millionaires who are literally superheroes of the quote-unquote society we live in.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So they're pretty powerful Black people, right?
Well, they're considered the ones that made it out. You know what I mean? You always got the people that are pushing for, oh man, he was from where I'm from. He made it out. You go. The ones that made it.
and so here's the question. The ones who made it out, a lot of them came from the hood, came up, used their talents, their physical abilities, which African people have. And then we see, the same thing, kind of the same game run on them.
Yeah.
You're still literally in a plantation relationship. What do they call the person who purchases the NFL team? What do they call the person who purchases the NFL team?
They call him the owner.
They call him the owner,
They call him the owner.
Okay, they call him the owner.
They call him the owner,
That's
man.
like, that is 2 notches below massa. Okay, that is like a few letters rearranged right below massa. And what did they do? The owners can. So there is a league, a players union, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But what did the owners do? The owners came together and they created policy. This is not a democracy.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
This is not a democracy. And that's what this
well, and that's why Kaepernick is still not playing.
Kaepernick still ain't ever gonna play football again. Okay. Kaepernick might as well go sign up to be a little league coach right now. Bless that brother, because he made his change, and that's all he's gonna see. He might end up playing in Kazakhstan, or he might end up playing in like some B league in Germany. Okay, but he has no place, no place in American football.
No. In fact, there was a team that was going to pick it up, and the name escapes me, but they said, "Well, we'll go ahead and put you on the roster, man, but you gotta stop that protest." And he was like, "Yeah, I can't promise you I can stop that." It's like, we can't promise you we'll bring you on, and that's crazy though, man. But I mean, people are saying, politics and football, politics and sports shouldn't mix. Politics and sports. You want to go there and watch a game. We don't want to go there and watch political debate. I understand that, you know what I'm saying. But the whole situation is, brother. Yep, the whole situation is, you know, that ain't always been like that. You know what I'm saying? So hold tight for a minute, man.
Yeah, right on. You know, and like Marcus Garvey said, and he was very clear on this. Marcus Garvey said everything's politics. Everything's political, rather. So when we talk about football, when we talk about sports, I think it's very short-sighted for African people to not see white people are very clear about this. The people who want to practice racism, the owners of those teams, they're not stupid. You see, they understand that it's political, because when they come together and say, we're going to keep you guys from going out on the field and making any type of hand gesture, sign, or moving your body in X way, they understand that it's political. That Donald Trump weighs in on this on national, international news outlets. Is it not political? Are we going to be so silly we got to get smacked upside the head for us to realize that it's political now? We need to keep them separate. Hey, let's just keep wishing and praying and hoping and seeing where that gets us when as far as this it not being political. Yeah, I just, you know, I'm passionate about that because we don't seem to learn that lesson. And well, quite a few of us are still entranced by this NFL situation, and it's just continuing pattern of racist behaviors that have gone on and on. So we're very gifted, we're very blessed rather to have a guest in for today. They're going to be coming up, telling us a little bit about their business here in Kansas City, and also getting more information about them, how they're involved in the community. Speaking of the community, this is I did want to tell our listening audience that I will be leaving Kansas City in a couple of months. The program will continue. I will continue to be a part of the program as long as I'm allowed to by the good people here at KUAW. And I would love to continue the program, but however, I will not physically be in Kansas City. I will be bringing you the latest information news on Black African America and the continent, rather, international African news. But I'll be bringing it to you from the island known as St. Thomas, moving with the family. So I do want to thank all of our listeners and our supporters for the time that we've had in Kansas City. I did want to talk a little bit about my time here in Kansas City and the lessons that were learned. I've been in Kansas City now for 4 years, and my children were born here. I was married here while I was in Kansas City. I am very proud to be a part of this city, specifically the Black community in this city. I have had the opportunity to visit and live in many cities, Dallas, of course, raised in Houston, Texas, visited Atlanta, Minnesota, Illinois, Detroit, New York, upstate, and the city. Able to see a lot of this land, California. But I have noticed something about this city here in the so-called heartland of the United States. The Black people in Kansas City have something that I have never seen anywhere else in this country, and that is heart as a community.
Amen to that, brother.
I am not saying that. Here, I got receipts. When I first came to Kansas City, I was not interested in anything regarding the community. That was not really what I was trying to do. I was just trying to make money and be with my family, raise my children. When I got here, I heard there was going to be a commemoration of the Million Man March. 20 years.
Right.
I received a invitation to an event where I believe Ismail Muhammad was going to be speaking, and this was in preparation for the Million Man March. I began to, and then I also about the same time I was invited to a documentary about Michael Finley and about growing.
Right.
I was then introduced to several Black people here in the city who, in my opinion, nothing short of changed the trajectory of my life. The most beautiful thing I can say about Kansas City is the Black people in the city and the heart that they have to do what they do. And I didn't know anything about KC. This is like when I first moved to Kansas City. I knew nothing about the history. I knew nothing about the neighborhoods. I knew nothing about anything. I do know. I will say that. And I'll put all these brothers out, man. And I give them a lot of love. And some names I probably won't remember. Calvin Muhammad, Kerry Muhammad, Dre Taylor, Darian Davis, of course, Teresa Muhammad. You just name businesses, Patricia, Margaret's Place, and it was Ozzy Village and Hakima, Mama Hakima. I mean, you just name the brothers and sisters. So many, Ryan Tenney, yourself, Chris Jackson. So many, bro. I'm just putting everybody's names and business out. The influences here are innumerable, and I want to thank every person that every Black person I came into contact here in Kansas City, because they truly have made my life and enriched the life of me and my family so much more.
Absolutely, bro. And I too echo that, man. I when we were blessed to have you here, and you and your family, which the contribution that you guys have also made to Kansas City. And I mean, that's the truth, here in Kansas City, we, if you're born and raised in Kansas City, for the most part, you love Kansas City. I mean, the good, the bad, and the ugly, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and I always tell people, I mean, Kansas City is not the biggest place, but it's definitely not the smallest place. You kind of got the in between. You can go out and have a decent time, and go back home. It's not the place where, I mean, I'm sure you can find the spots where you can party all night just until the sunrise. But for the most part, man, you go hang out, man, and do the social thing or the family thing, whatever you got, then go home and it's time well spent.
That is definitely the blend of all those things. But yeah, man, the good, bad, and ugly. KC's got some serious issues. So I do give the brothers who have continued to pour, and sisters who continue to pour into this community. The Sisters of One Struggle KC. I mean, those are some incredible Black women who are involved in our organization, who day in and day out. Justice and Diane Burkholder. I mean, these are some incredible Black women who get down and don't play when it comes to taking care of business in the community. Frontline soldiers. So yeah, definitely. Lots of love. We are going to take a short break. We'll be back. We will have our guests on the program here shortly. You are listening to Black Matters on KUAW, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Greetings. How y'all doing? Good.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Vilma
Van Zandt. Van Zandt.
So it's VV or your initial?
Yes.
That's really, that's cool. That's cool. Right on.
VV's like, go.
Yeah. You have your own hand symbol. You only have your own hand symbol.
Yeah.
That's what's going on.
A lot of love.
That's good. And
peace.
So you're a business owner. He sent some of the information over.
I'm a fashion designer.
Right on. Solid. And this is your.
This is my husband.
Right on. Mr. Van Zandt.
Yeah.
He's a fashion inspiration. Yeah.
It's your own inspiration.
Yeah, right.
It's the ponytail, Rob.
Yeah, right.
What up, Rob? How you
I
doing,
like his
man?
hair. I like his ponytail.
Yeah, that's it. So how long you been fashion?
I've been doing it for about 6 years now.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have you on in a few seconds so you can share your whole story with us.
But I started 24 years ago when my daughter was 1 year old.
All right.
Yeah.
I am 48 years old.
Not even.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
We're not even having a show right now. That's not even.
Oh.
We can't. There's an age limit. Isn't there an age limit on people we have in the studio? That's it. But yeah, we're gonna bring that. And you have a small. Is that Cebuano accent or is that? But the Tagalog or
Tagalog.
Tagalog. Okay, yeah. My father had a really good friend in Cebu. In Cebu, yeah, and so like I can hear a little accent. I was like, yeah, that's right on. So yeah, if you want to come up, take a seat, and throw on a headphone. Not even. See, when you can throw your age out like that, yeah, you've got the age thing down. Like we used to throw the age out, like I'm bro.
Yeah, I just turned 48.
Right on, congratulations. That's okay. Yeah,
What
so
is your name?
Let me. Yeah, like if
Nice to meet
if I was mean, but I was French,
you. You're Lamine.
so that'd be Lami, right? Wouldn't that be Lami, right? But I'm not French. So. It's good. It's good. All right. Yeah. So we'll probably do like a 12, 13 minute segment. And do you have a storefront here, or do you just do custom stuff?
I just do customs.
Custom stuff. Okay, right. Perfect. And then your contact with I like to plug your contact information twice. So if you have a website, Facebook, Instagram, or something like that.
Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, so we're gonna
Thank you.
plug that twice minimum. And if you find a place to drop it in one more time, get it in. So what we like to do is the most important thing, I guess, for the people listening is how do they get to your stuff? And
Find me on Facebook.
there we go. Because sometimes what'll happen is we'll forget to get that information, and then we'll talk about it.
Well, there's lots because I'm my name. I'm the only one in the whole world with my name. So if they Google my name, they'll find me. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, the cops love it.
There we go.
Easy to find.
You pulled up.
Yes.
You're not going to jail tonight, Ms. Van Zandt.
No,
You gotta get a warning or something.
not ever.
But there is an international warrant for somebody for you in Zimbabwe. What's your name? All right, so cool. I guess we'll come back in. How much time we got on this?
All right, we come in when you're ready. You ready, man?
What's the name? Oh no, I'm fine.
Be a star.
Via Star.
There you go.
I'll type it down. Billa Star.
B-I-Y-A.
Uh-huh. Oh, Via Star.
Yeah,
Via.
very important in adults.
Via Star. What do you want to go by? You want to go by just Vilma?
You can call me Be a Star. My friends call me Via.
Via. Okay. First name only? You want to do last name?
It's first name.
Okay.
Vilma would be great.
Vilma,
V-I-L-M-A.
also known as
Be a
Via.
Star. Yeah.
Via Star. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
star.
Yeah, we'll come back
Be
in.
a star. Be a star.
Yeah.
You got some good tunes on for us, Mr. Walker. It was no games here,
You
dude.
did that.
Oh, that's what's up. I like this. Yeah. All right, we'll come back in.
Good, Ron?
Yeah, we're good.
You on 3 items off? You on 3? I mean on 4.
He's on 5.
Get front. Get
She'll
front.
be on 3. You want to pull that black light.
I have to talk on the mic. This is my first time, so I don't know. Okay.
If you want to hear more clearly, you can use the headphones.
Okay.
And yeah, I guess we'll get set up on this real quick. I totally forgot.
Yeah, you want to talk right into the mic.
And talk, directly. If you can get it straight in
I
front of
hear-
the microphone.
I hear music in there. I
Oh
won't
yeah,
be
it's
able
gonna
to
come
hear
out.
you.
It's gonna go off.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll go off, and then you'll hear yourself, and it's just a little easier to hear.
Okay.
That's how it's gonna sound to people.
Okay.
Yeah. We're back. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Black Matters with Lami Mumia here on KUAW, KC's global community radio station. We are very blessed to have very many different entrepreneurs in the community from the KC area with us. We have today Via Star, aka Vilma, with Via Star, a fashion designer here in Kansas City, live in studio with us. Via, welcome to Black Matters. How are you doing today?
I am blessed. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. Thanks for being here. So you are a fashion designer. We don't get too many fashion designers this way, so we feel like I was not prepared to throw on my chic. I should have worn my Versace today instead of not just kidding. Instead of just covered it up. No, but tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business here in the area. How long have you been in the fashion industry?
I've been in the fashion industry for about 20 years now.
Right on, right on. What motivated you to get involved in fashions?
My daughter. I was born in the Philippines. We didn't always have money, so I always had to make my clothes to fit in with everybody. So I recycle and recreate my own design. And before I knew it, everyone liked it. And as years go by, people invite me to do fashion shows to showcase my designs. At the time, I was just excited about being part of something special. And I just kept doing it. And it grew to be so amazing. Such blessing for me, of course.
I know a lot of our listeners might be able to understand when we were younger, and I know probably not so many of our listeners, maybe not the ones who are maybe 30 or younger, but having to make your own clothing and have people make your own clothing for you when you're younger, and then recycling clothing, and then you get your older brother's clothing, and your mama have to like fix it and hem it down. And that's really very interesting because it's almost like, you know, the phrase that necessity is the mother of invention. From the necessity came your talent. You know, it was able to flourish.
That's right.
That's what's up. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Pure talent.
There we go. Pure talent. So what area of fashion do you kind of? I'm not too much. I don't go to Fashion Week, so I don't know too much about that. But is there a certain area, type of clothing or accessories, or what do you?
I'm design exotic wear,
Okay.
one of a kind. I can only make one designs for special occasions for anyone. Whatever you think about, I can make it.
Right on, right on. So you said exotic wear. Is that like lingerie? Is that like going out clothes? Like what?
Evening gowns,
Evening gown,
lingerie,
okay, there we go.
swimsuit, costume, mermaids.
Really?
Yes, and right now I'm trying to get into a Comic-Con costume designs.
Like cosplay.
Yes.
Oh man, cosplay's huge.
I'm
Yeah.
super excited about that.
Do you cosplay?
Yes, I do.
We also have he's not on the microphone, but we do have the husband here in the studio. Do you cosplay as well, Chief? He said, not yet. He will. He's going Final Fantasy next year. He is. No, yeah, definitely.
Yes.
No, that's good. Before we forget, let's just plug this right now. How can people look up your information and look up your designs right now? How can they contact you?
You can look me up at Facebook, Vilma Van Zandt at facebook.com, and also Instagram, Via Star, Love Your World. That's my clothing designs name.
And Via Star is VIYA Star.
Yes.
Yeah, Via Star. And you can also, and then Facebook, how can we find you on Facebook?
Vilma Van Zandt.
And you said earlier that's the only name that'll come up if you look that name up. Is that correct?
That is correct.
There we go. Being unique. So you were talking a little bit about you being involved in fashion because of your daughter. What exactly was the inspiration? Was she kind of, and you told me this was many a year ago as well.
Around Halloween,
Uh-huh.
I needed to buy a costume for her. At the time, I didn't have the money to buy a costume for her. So my grandma had a sewing machine. So I laid her down on the table, and I kind of cut around her, designed her a little Tarzan outfit, a little cheetah Tarzan outfit. I drew a nose on her and gave her a purse for her candy to put on. She was 1 year old at the time. And then after that, I just kind of started designing clothes on my own, making up whatever I wanted to, because she was my guidance.
Exactly. Wow, that is, and now she's all grown.
Yes,
Do you still make?
yes,
you
I
still make
do.
designs
I make
for her?
clothes for my grandbabies.
And for your grandchildren now. Wow.
Yes,
keeps going.
now, and I'm super excited about all the opportunity and creating these beautiful outfits for everyone.
What do you say? Because I know there's a lot of talent in the community that doesn't get out. You know, your story comes from 10,000 miles away, and you know now you're designing clothing here for people, custom clothing for individuals here. what do you tell people who maybe have talent, got a sewing machine, maybe in their mama's basement, and they just making maybe an outfit for their child, you know, for Halloween or something? What do they need to do to learn to become a designer?
Just got to keep doing what you love to do. And as we grow older, I truly believe that we get better. And the encouragement of our family and friends is my motivation to be who I am today.
Right on.
My models, I am grateful for them, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even have a job. They're so excited to wear my design and to see them in my design. It's a blessing that I could never, priceless, I guess. It's not about money, but to see them and they love the clothes that they're wearing, it makes my heart so happy. Almost brings tears to my heart. Pure happiness.
That's love of what you do, right? That's real love of what you do.
Yes.
Hey, well, Via, thank you so much for stopping in with us today. Please let us know how we can contact you one more time, because I want everybody to. Oh, and by the way, I'm just gonna put this out there. If you're watching on Facebook, are we streaming Facebook Live right now?
Yes, sir.
If you're watching on Facebook, you have to see. You can. If you're listening on the radio, I just have to kind of describe. She came in all red hair, red outfit, red glasses.
It's love. I get.
Yeah,
love.
they're heart-shaped glasses.
I am nervous.
And,
I apologize.
No. And so she's like just fully readied out. If you want to see Via, go on Facebook, and you know, apparently she's very passionate about what she does, and it shows in her work and her appearance. So
real quick question, Vilma.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have anything coming up you know, in June, July, as far as, you know?
I have a big thing coming up. I'm helping Kimberly Young doing a fashion show at Kemper Arena on October 7th. And it's going to be a whole bunch of local fashion designer, artists, and entertainer that's going to join us. So I encourage everyone to come and check us out. Her name is Kimberly Young. I'm Vilma Van Zandt. And we are encouraging everyone to come and show your talent. If you're a fashion designer or an artist, singer, dancer, you would like some exposure, we would love to give you the opportunity to do so.
October 23rd.
October 7th.
October 7th.
Kemper
Okay,
Arena.
at Kemper Arena. Okay. Yeah. So mark your calendars now. No excuses. October 7th. What time is this going to be occurring?
It's going to be at 5 p.m.
5 p.m. It's going to be probably starting to get cold in Kansas City. You ain't going to have nothing better to do than to go to a wonderful. This going to be a fashion show, or is this going to be?
It's going to be a fashion show. It's called a Wonderland with our
Nice.
team.
Yeah.
And it's going to be all of us from Kansas City that's going to be showcase all our designs.
Right on.
I'm hoping that Comic-Con would also be there, and Brian Mapes will also be there for Become More clothing line.
Right on. Right on. So mark your calendars for that. And then in the meantime, they can catch you on Facebook, Vilma Van Zandt, and Via Star on Instagram.
Yes.
Is that correct? Right on. Right on. Well, thank you very much for coming to our program.
Thank you so much. I'm
Yes.
so happy to be here.
Yeah.
I got all dressed up and I wanted to showcase my design.
Yeah.
And
You know, is this one of your designs here?
Yes,
Yes,
that's
sir.
that.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I would be like making her model for the camera. But if you like to show off the design, you definitely let the Facebook viewers and the YouTube viewers see the different designs that she does here. Custom designs, Vilma Van Zandt, Via Star. Definitely want to get in contact with that. So yeah, we look forward to reaching out afterwards, and hopefully we get a little feedback, have you back on the program, and you know, whenever you go to Paris Fashion Week and you remember us, you can give us a shout out. So,
yes, of course. Thank you for the
please do.
opportunity.
Yeah, real quick, last question.
Please.
Do you have any like not-for-profits that you work with?
A what?
Do you have any not-for-profits that you work with?
I'm thinking about opening one. I've never opened one, and been thinking about Love Your World,
Okay.
nonprofit organizations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pray about it. I'm not for sure exactly how I'm gonna do it, but I have Robert Reed have always encouraged me that
Nice.
would be a great idea for me to start.
Yeah.
because I'm always helping my family in the Philippines because they're so poor.
Yeah.
And for the past 23 years,
Yeah.
and for me to do it by myself, it's just a hard for me. But I just keep doing it anyway.
Is your family proud of you?
My family, yes. I am so proud of my family.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal. Man, listen, well, we love to have you. Thank you for responding. Thank you for coming out, Rob, my man. I work with Rob. Thanks for being here. We appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless. And
God bless.
thank you.
Yes. That was once again Vilma Via Star. Check her out on Facebook, Vilma Van Zandt, and Via Star on Instagram. Don't miss to check out the broadcast of the program, the rebroadcast, if you'd like to see some of her. She's wearing one of her designs, very fashionable designs. We have a few events we wanted to cover before we close out the program. We do, besides October 7th at 5, that what we just learned from Via, the event that's going on there. We do have a Black Fathers Matter open mic and silent auction June 15th. That's next Friday at 8 p.m. You want to be there. It's going to be a lot of, it's going to be held at Uzazi Village. It's going to be music and poetry, all of the upliftment, supposedly near the so-called Father's Day holiday celebration. So you can make it out there. June 15th, 8 to 10, Uzazi Village. I will be present. You also have the Juneteenth KC Festival Royal Youth Vendor Squad at the Lincoln Building, 16th. Second Friday's live art dance is going to be happening, I believe, this Friday at 7 p.m., 5504 Truths. Second Fridays, you do not want to miss that. Next Friday at 8 p.m. It's going to be hard to choose which event to go to. Pretty Girls Trap and Paint, Studio 5400. That's going to be happening next week, Friday, 8 p.m. on Truth as well, 5400 or 5504 Truth, hosted by Studio 5400. Pretty Girls Trap and Paint. You get your tickets online on Facebook. Do not forget, Second Fridays is always fire at Nella Yoga. Coco Shea, my favorite soap hygiene product vendor. This sister has like the most incredible soaps. My skin feels softer than my baby's. It's insane. I'm starting to get scared. Brother's skin should feel this soft. Definitely. So make sure to mark your calendars for those events.
And I noticed that, man, when you shook my hand, brother, I thought
that was soft, wasn't it, brother?
Man, I got calluses on my hand, bro. I thought I was hurting your finger.
That was soft. That was. Don't think I'm soft, but I'm soft.
Right.
But I'm soft.
Okay. Hey, no, you just smooth. Bro.
I'm just smooth, man. I'm just very smooth. Yeah. Definitely. Hey, we want to thank everybody for tuning into the program today. We hope you found it constructive and the information to be uplifting as well. We will be back next week at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, and we'll be back here with some hard-hitting information, giving you the information you need in the community here. We want to end with our prayer. This was a prayer made famous by the famous Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, author of the ISIS Papers, one of the most important books of the 20th century, a liberating Black people's prayer for justice and peace. Thou who art blacker than a trillion midnights, whose eyes shine brighter than a billion suns. Thou whose hair doth coil tighter than a million springs, radiating energy throughout the universe. We beseech thee, one and only one, to give us total strength to carry out thy will for the universe, to establish justice on planet Earth, and live in peace. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning into Black Matters here with Lami Mumia on KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. Peace, Black Liberation. Bibi Fahudie.
Peace.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Coming in, really appreciate it.
You guys had me all nervous.
It's all good. It's all good. Thanks for coming in.
I am so happy.
You work for Chris? Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, no, not off, right? Thank you so much for coming in. It was a pleasure. Oh, I'm a little dirty. I won't get too dirty. Here we go. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Thank you. I'll take my water. He told me about it a long time ago.
Did he? Yeah, we love to. He's good at getting guests for the program, getting people in here.